What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the A7E podcast. This is your host, Jigadrin. Guys, today we are on episode 25, and today I have with us Mel Perez. I was introduced, I kind of seen you a little bit around in the gym, in Gold's Gym.
Yep.
Okay. But the one who made the biggest connection for us was my cousin, Graciela, or Chela. She wouldn't get off of me about it. She's like, you need to have her on. You need to have her on because lately, I guess she just started listening to the podcast, right?
Uh-huh.
And she's loved the episodes that, of the people that I've had on. And she's like, you have to get Mel. You have to get Mel.
She's so sweet.
Yeah. So, Chela, thank you so much for setting this up. Somehow, my cousins, Chela and Monica, both have a very good ability to network
on social media.
Mm-hmm. And first of all, they're phenomenal people. I'm really close to them.
Oh yeah,
like since we
first cousins.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
So we consider them our sisters because I have only brothers.
Oh, okay.
And they do consider us their brothers because they're all sisters.
Very cool.
So
that's good to know.
Yeah, tell us. So thank you so much. So Mel, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then see what we can talk about.
Okay, so my name's Mel Perez, and I am 36 years old. I am a mom.
Okay.
And I'm born and raised in Mcallen.
Okay. Born and raised, huh?
Born and raised, yeah.
Cool. So you are a mom of
One. 10-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, girl?
Girl.
How is that? How is having a girl right now?
To be honest, she's made it easy for me, like extremely easy for me. So I can't say the hardest thing for me is being a single mom.
Okay.
Her dad right now is in the Army. And so I've been having just to like navigate everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from practices to school, making sure that her academics are in check. Other than that, I feel like it's been a breeze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So she's 10 years old. And the reason I asked is because, I'm going to be a dad.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. I think we're 27 weeks in. But I think around, 4 weeks left maybe? Not 4 months maybe.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be a girl. So, so you mentioned you had a girl. So I was wondering, I've heard a lot of people mention that girls are easier than boys.
Yes.
I
feel like they mature
okay.
quicker.
Yeah. I know one of the parents of the kids that I coach as my second job mentioned to me before I found out what it was. He's like, hope that it's a girl because they're much easier and they're smarter. And I was like, okay, and then when I found out I was a girl, I was like, okay, well, at least for the most part, according to a lot of people, I'll have it easy.
I mean, I feel like parenting in any sense, especially if it's your first kid, is going to be a little scary. But I think when you have two people together, like you and Ileana, right?
Yeah.
I'm correct. I think y'all are going to do great. I mean, it's just depending on the parent.
Yeah.
And I don't really think that either about boys and girls. I feel like boys are very just like curious, touching things, getting into things, and girls aren't. But then I've heard of friends that have girls and they're like, oh my God, no. She was just like getting into everything, putting her hands into sockets. So I just I think it's just all different. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm excited nonetheless. Whenever I found out it was a girl, so I tell everybody the story, but whenever we decided to find out the gender together, which we did just us two, right? We did it through a cupcake where, they have the color of the gender inside the cupcake. So when you bite it, it shows. But when the very first time she was like, hey, I'm pregnant, right? I immediately, something inside me was like, it's a girl. So you're talking about 6 weeks into the pregnancy. And I never changed like my thought about it. I was like, it's a girl, it's a girl, it's a girl, it's a girl. And everybody in the world, like family, close friends, blah, blah, was like, it's a boy. Like, it's a boy because of this reason, because of that reason. And even though I was fully convinced from the, 6th week that it was a girl, it's like when I first saw the color of the cupcake, like inside, like my whole world just like came crashing. It was like, it just melted in my heart.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it's going to be a girl. Our whole family have always wanted, us brothers, we always wanted a sister. And then my parents always wanted a daughter. It just didn't turn out that way. So obviously us having, kids because my older brother is also gonna have a baby within probably 5 weeks now.
Oh.
Yeah. So
a girl too?
Well, they don't know. Yeah. So they decided not to tell anybody until it's born, which is
that's
fine.
Exciting.
Yeah, which is exciting. So having a girl, or the idea of it is
that's big.
Yeah, it's very big.
Yeah. And see, for me, I have 4 sisters. So
you have 4 sisters?
Yeah.
How many siblings?
It's 5. It's all 5. It's 5 of us.
Oh, so you're just sisters?
Yeah, just girls. So I was like convinced for sure, like, because I've always been into like sports and tomboyish in junior high and high school, like playing in all different sports and stuff. I was like, I'm having a boy, and they're gonna play all these sports and all that stuff. And I was so convinced, like to the point where I did the blood work. I think that was like at 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, are you ready? Like, it was so long ago. And I was there at the clinic. I'm like, yeah. And they like, I open it up and I'm like, female?
Oh.
And I'm looking, I'm like, is this correct? And they're like, yes. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm having a girl. So it was a big shock, but she's awesome. So I'm like, I wouldn't change it for anything, you know.
Is she, do you kind of see her, I mean, obviously she's still very young, but do you kind of see her maybe have some of the same interest as you when you were younger, or maybe like behaviors type of?
I mean, it's just so different nowadays. And then I had other sisters. I had siblings. She doesn't, since she's a single kid, our only child. A lot of, I was outside all the time. Exactly. And now they're outside, but not outside like the way it used to be.
I know.
It's just crazy. And so, and then now kids are all in sports. And I wasn't in sports. I mean, I didn't do any sports when I was younger. Didn't start sports until I got to junior high. I just played outside with everybody, like baseball, basketball, but we never like took time to practice and stuff like that. Like
like an organized team?
Yeah, like an organized team. So I'm like, I always tell her, you have it so good. Yeah. I mean, you're 10 years old and you know the sport. Imagine when you get to junior high. But at the same time, all these parents are doing this with their kids, you know. Some parents are like having travel teams. Some parents have started their kids at 3 years old. It's not the same anymore. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, growing up, so that's kind of how I grew up as well. Just like you. Well, I mean, I played soccer since I was 4, right?
Uh-huh.
I would play on recreational leagues and things like that. But recreational leagues compared to competitive leagues is a whole different ball game, right? So I was always outside. I mean, we had less technology, right? That kept us busy. Mm-hmm. I did have an older brother that I'm still close to, but we would always go everywhere together and play. But I didn't join like my first organized competitive soccer. I played, high school and whatnot, but until about like 16 or 17. So there's a lot of years of development that I missed that a lot of kids are now taking advantage of, which is what you're saying, and parents putting them in so young. And I think that's incredible. Now, you mentioned, does she do a sport right now?
Yeah, she's in basketball.
Okay.
And so she's been with the same team, started at Boys and Girls Club. She started when she was 6. And then so started just with like whatever team that they put her in. And then I believe when she got to about 7 or 8, we got with one team that the coach just said, just keep adding her on to the same team. And then he travels.
Okay.
They don't really do much sponsorships or anything like that. Not like official traveling team, but it's good for them because they're able to work as a team together, go over plays. So just this last Sunday, she had a random tournament at Gawaso Sports.
Yeah.
So like we have to pay for the day, but it was like three games, co-ed.
Because Gawaso Sports is a training facility, right?
Yeah. But I had never been. It was my first time.
But they have a good basketball court there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was my first time there, but I was like, okay, this starts at 3 and we left at like 7:30 or started at 2. It was like, oh my gosh, there's the whole Sunday, Yeah. But she was all for it. So.
That's awesome. And she loves it.
Loves it, yeah.
Okay, good. Now, you mentioned, what sport did you play in junior high? Was it basketball?
I played basketball, volleyball. That was in junior high. And then in high school, I went to softball, volleyball, and basketball.
Nice. What school did you go to?
Nicky Rowe.
Nicky Rowe. Okay. Nicky Rowe. I'm not from here officially. I moved here maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago now. So the ones that I'm familiar with are Nicky Rowe, very little, but Mac High, I guess, is the most popular one.
And Memorial.
Right?
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. I'm thinking about, haven't been in high school in almost, what is that, like 12 years. I haven't been in high school. That's crazy.
I graduated in 2004.
2004? That's the same.
Is it?
No.
I think mine's like 15 or 16.
Yeah, but I was going to say my older brother. I think he graduated in 2005. So it's around the same time. That's cool. So in regards to the podcast, have you ever done one?
No.
Okay. First time?
Yes.
How do you feel?
I'm okay.
Good. Right? Yeah.
All right.
These are fun. I enjoy them very much. You know, being able to speak to people. Like I mentioned earlier in the introduction, I've seen you a couple times in the gym. I think Ileana obviously knows you more than right.
Y'all were in CrossFit, right?
Yeah, like a while
with
ago,
Mark.
huh?
Like back in the day when it was like in the other room.
Yeah.
I think that's where I first met her.
Yeah.
Or saw her.
Yeah. And then she also got excited when I mentioned that, I was going to have you on the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, she's so cute.
Yeah. She was like, make sure you get it done because I want to hear that type of thing. And I was like, I'll do my best. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been at the gym for so long, too. That's just like another story also.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you been there at Gold's the whole time? Or have you kind of been?
I've been at Gold's for 8 years.
8 years. Okay.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because it came out in my memories. And I was just talking about it like last week. I was at Max Fitness for like 3, which was, now it's True Fit. So I was there for like 3 years. And then I went over to Gold's Gym.
How come?
I didn't like the environment anymore.
At Max Fitness. Okay.
I was really getting just annoyed with the environment. The lack of professionalism when it came to like trainers and stuff. I didn't like it. So, I mean, that was back in the day. I'm not saying that now. Yeah. But I just didn't feel comfortable anymore. Yeah. So I moved over there.
Do you like Gold's right now?
I love Gold's. It's like a family there.
Yeah.
It really, really is. Yeah.
I like Gold's a lot. I've been there since literally that time that you mentioned that you saw us at CrossFit. That was actually the first time span that I got to Gold's around that area. So, I mean, I've been there ever since, and I like it a lot.
And I've gotten to know a couple of people that have become like family at Gold, and I'm just like, I like going to that and knowing that I can say hi to people, feel comfortable, and not all that awkwardness or whatever. And there's times where I'm like, maybe I'll go to the Far Gym because it's closer. Like I live right by it. Yeah. But I'm like, no, I'll just go to Dove.
The Far Gym is the one by the Express?
Like Jackson, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I live like close to that area.
Okay.
So it's way closer for me.
Yeah.
But I'm like driving all the way to Dove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I actually look forward to going to that gym. I do like the environment a lot. I mean, I'm starting to know a little bit more people there. I mean, granted, like I work out with Ileana pretty much maybe 90% of the time, which I love and we love it. But it's like essentially because of that, like there's hardly any other interaction just because we go and get the workout done. But slowly and surely, starting to kind of talk a little bit more to other people.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people have been like, first impression, we're like, oh my god, that girl looks like upset all the time, and I'm like. For one, like I go into Gold's Gym, with a time schedule, like a time window. Yeah. Like I'm a mom. Sometimes I have literally 45 minutes or 1 hour and I don't have time to talk. And I don't want to be rude but these are just new people and a lot of the people that already know me, they're like, oh, that's Mel. Like, it's because she's got to go. Like, just wave at her. She'll wave back, But other than that, I'm like, no, I'm not mean. It's just that I don't have that time. There's a lot of people that just go and don't work out. Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm not one of those.
No, I know.
In and out.
That's good. How long has that been like that since you had the baby?
Okay, so I got pretty big before I had my baby. So I got to like my highest weight was like 190.
190. How tall are you if you don't mind me?
I'm 5'3".
5'3" at 190. Yeah. Okay.
So that was like my highest weight, and then that's just the whole thing. Like I basically woke up one day and I was just tired of it, and I already had been in sports, so I kind of knew what I would need to do, but I had never been into a gym. Right. So what I did was I just started like walking around my neighborhood, jogging around my neighborhood. And then I would give myself like goals. Okay, you're gonna go to Nolana. You're gonna do that bicentennial trail, and you're going to see how long you can run it for and then stop and then keep going.
Yeah.
And then when I finished it, which I think it was like 2 miles, I felt like so accomplished.
Yeah.
So it's just been like small, little, gradual changes in my life, but I did them purposely like that to mentally change my lifestyle.
Okay.
Because I was just like in a really bad lifestyle.
Yeah.
So with that, worked out, went to STC, joined their little small gym. They had like a tiny little gym.
Yeah.
Did cardio there. Then went to Max Fitness and I started doing their classes, just their cardio classes. And I got hooked on like cycling. So I did cycling for about 2 years and then got pregnant.
Cycling 2 years straight?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like super into it, like doing like back-to-back classes and stuff like that. So when I got pregnant, I had lost about 45 pounds prior to getting pregnant.
Okay.
So my doctor was like, no, you can stick to doing cycling. A little bit of weights, but you can still do your cycling. Mm-hmm. So I did it all the way up to 39 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cycling.
Did
you do the weight part as well?
Very little.
Very little? Mm-hmm. Wow, all the way to 39 weeks.
Yeah. I was very determined to stick to my fitness routine and my diet. And so I only gained about 22 pounds. Pregnancy.
Okay.
I was so ready to have natural birth. And then I ended up having an emergency C-section. So it just didn't work out the way I wanted it, but I healed in like less than a month.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind me asking, how come it, you obviously planned to have a natural birth. Mm-hmm. What happened that they, had to do an emergency C-section?
Well, she was ready. So he goes, let's induce you. So they induced me and I never dilated. So for 12 hours, I was like having contractions, not dilating, and she was getting stressed out. And so they would have to put oxygen on me. So, and then once they would take it off, her oxygen would go down. So the doctor came in at 2:30 and he's like, we got to get her out. And I was so upset because I was like, you told me if I took care of myself.
You prepped yourself.
Prepped myself. And he was like, these things happen. Yeah. Like, this is out of my control, out of your control. And he's like, you're still going to be happy the fact that you took care of yourself. Just watch. And on my 3rd week, postpartum, I went running. I did 4 miles. And I go to my monthly checkup and he's like, so how are you feeling? I'm like, well, I ran 3 miles like last week. He's like, what? He's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, and he's like, let me check. So he checked my scar and he's like, oh my God, you're crazy. Like, you're healed, but don't do that. Like, just take it easy. But I just went back to my normal routine. Wow. So now I'm just like, yeah, taking care of yourself, even with a C-section, like you'll bounce back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how was it? Because I know my mom, there's an 11-year difference between me and my, so I'm the middle child, me and my little brother. And obviously my mom was planned for a natural birth. Like she did well in her pregnancy. I was able to watch her be pregnant and, really be conscious of it. And so they had to do an emergency C-section as well because apparently, I think in that situation, I don't think I'm butchering the story, but I think it was that the umbilical cord was like wrapped around his neck.
Mm-hmm. Those things happen.
And then, so that's obviously the reason why they had to do an emergency C-section. But my mom wasn't entirely active. So obviously postpartum, she had a longer journey to recover. But for you, like when they did the C-section or how was that experience of a C-section? Were you conscious, and then shortly after, like, how was it for you?
I'm gonna be really honest. I felt like it was extremely overwhelming, especially because I was like 27, and I feel like that's still not. No, was I 25? I was 25. And I still feel like I wasn't even fully ready. Like, sounds stupid because it's like, you're 25 years old, you're a fucking adult. Like, how can you not be ready? But I wasn't prepared for a C-section. I didn't even know what it was going to do. And that amount of like, they really go through, I mean, the layers of your skin and all that. And it's pretty traumatic. Like, I'm not going to lie, it is. And then I guess after the healing process, a lot of women go through a lot because like some say like you don't take care of yourself. They have a hard time just like sitting up or like, getting to the shower, and it's it's so painful. So I remember like maybe like 3 days out. I mean, when I was already home, like waking up at 4 a.m, like just crying, like in my bed, because I was just like, I'm in pain, like, and I'm like feeding her, and I have like these stitches, and it's just, you're tired, you know. But now I'm just like, whatever. Yeah, so easy, you know. But now I'm like, no, I don't know if I want to do that again. But yeah, it's just like, just life, you know, like.
Yeah, I know that, you know, a lot of women do experience that. And then I've just briefly, like on social media, you'll hear about, you know, like horrible experiences of C-sections. And obviously, you know, there's other sides to the story as well, where you mentioned that you were able to recover fairly quickly. And I know that some women do have like a tough time bouncing back from a situation like that because of the pain. And then, you know, the emotionally postpartum, I know. Okay, I don't know, but like I've been able to observe, like through social media and conversations with other women, that, you know, sometimes there's women out there that kind of potentially fall into like a depression postpartum.
I was just gonna say, I kind of felt like I got into that a little bit, because I didn't realize that until I got older and started hearing stories. And like, you kind of feel like when you're feeling that way, you don't really want to talk about it, because you just had a child, and people are gonna be like, you should be fucking excited right now. Yeah. Like, why are you sad? That's, you know, it's hard for women. I mean, it's pregnancy. I was just like thinking, like, it's so crazy. You have a human being growing inside your body, and not just that, what it does to your body, your hormones, you know. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, because I was telling Ileana yesterday, right? Because obviously, you know, I spent you know, much time with her belly, the baby. And like sometimes, like I'll just kind of like take a step back, and I'm like, wow, there's a real human being
moving,
and it's like there's this whole like domino effect that's happening that your body is doing, and you don't even really like notice it, or not that you don't notice it, but you're conscious of it. Like there's certain chemicals that are being released, there's certain things that are being minused or added to make sure that the baby's growing correctly as it should. And the time frame, somehow the body knows it's about 40
it's crazy.
weeks. It's like so many things are really happening. It's like, I obviously, you know, maybe it's cliche now, but like it's a literal miracle. It's like,
oh, it is,
you know, and it's like, it's just so mind blowing sometimes how, and I say this because I have to stop myself in those moments to actually take that step back and notice what's really going on. Because, you know, we do get so busy sometimes that I feel like sometimes when women are pregnant or they're going through, you know, pregnancy, that actual like work of art or whatever it is for the 9 months isn't like appreciated enough sometimes. Like,
amen. Seriously. For real. It's some people don't appreciate it, or not just that, don't understand, like, are just not understanding when it comes to women, or even to where I'm just like, how can they go back to work in a month? That's just crazy to me, you know? But they do it. But they do it. That's why I'm like, women are too strong. They're just way too strong.
No, I agree. And I mean, sometimes it's just, I don't know why it's set up that way. You know, where in regards to what you mentioned specifically about they having to go back to work like in a month and whatnot, you know, in other, you know, countries, they do take care of that situation a bit better. Like they really do give the time off to the mother specifically. I don't want to say or include the father too much because I'm not sure, but I know the mother. I
think I've heard of that though.
Yeah, but in regards to the mother, they do give them at least like 6 months, you know, and paid and all that. So they're able to take that time off stress-free and really tend to the baby, be a mother. You know, the mom's not having to worry about, you know, missing out on any salary or pay to make up for the bills. Like they're still being helped. Yeah. And therefore being able to provide like a much more quality parenting situation to the baby, at least for the first
6 months. Yeah. And those are like, I feel like those are the most crucial. Yeah. But it's a lot of things that need to change, I feel like, you know, when it comes to that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also depends on who you work for, right?
Yeah. I think certain companies, especially nowadays, what I do see and notice, at least with some companies, is they're starting to become more aware of mental health I think there is this shift in awareness for mental health. I think I should be able to talk about this. I don't see why not. But in the company that I just got hired for about 2.5 months ago, that was brought up. Like that topic was brought up. It's like, hey, we want to make sure that you guys are taking your days off. That you guys are breathing, relaxing, that you guys aren't overworked, or burnt out, So, but what I haven't done specifically is asked about, what's it called whenever the parental leave? That's not what it's called. Paternity leave.
Paternity leave.
Yeah. So I haven't asked about that specifically, but I have noticed also through social media as well, because I just do a lot of kind of what's going on in the world. But other companies are at least becoming aware about mental health and things that are necessary to at least keep their employees in a good state of mind and health to at least perform well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hope it changes all around. It's too much for women. Or just even fathers too. Yeah. It's too much, and then especially if you have other kids.
Yeah.
And then right now it's summertime. Okay, everybody's calm down. But when school starts, it's just crazy.
It's a different schedule. Man, you're right. I mean, my little brother just graduated, so we're done essentially, because we would work as a family to help him with school, rise, sports, blah, blah, blah. So he's done with high school. So now school is out of the equation. At least moving forward, when he goes to college, he can drive himself.
Yeah.
His own car and all that. But you're right. During school, it's a massively different schedule.
It's overwhelming. Yeah. And elementary, you would think they don't have that much work. But they do. They do. And I'm like, what's going to happen when they get to junior high and high school? I mean, it's crazy. But thankfully, my daughter's really good on that sense where I don't really check homework.
Yeah.
I don't tell her, have you done your homework?
Yeah.
She's already I took care of it at school, during the extra time.
Yeah.
Grades are good. I don't have to worry about that. But if I did, I mean, it's just so stressful. And then having to just make sure they're on just everything. They're testing. I feel like they always need something every week. There's always something going on
from the
schools.
Yeah.
There's always something, whether it's a meeting or a festival or anything. It's just always something. I'm like, another paper? What? For what? But yeah, I'm like, get used to it. I still have 8 more years.
8 more years minimum. Yeah. So in your opinion, and maybe you don't have one, and that's okay in regards to this, but why do you think there is so much stuff that goes on with schools? Do you think, in your opinion, that all of that is necessary?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
That was a fast opinion.
Absolutely not. I've been, I feel like I've wanted to talk to, I guess, what are they called when they have a committee and they have the parents can go and bring up, I guess,
a council
meeting or something. But I've never really looked into it, but I feel like they just stress the kids way too much. Not just that, they don't give them enough playtime outside. That's not giving them time to de-stress.
That's true.
It's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally 20 minutes. They give them about 30 minutes to eat lunch or 20 minutes to eat lunch. And then they give them so many testing, STAR tests and things that I feel like are not necessary for kids. It puts too much stress and gives them early anxiety.
Yeah.
My daughter gets anxiety.
Yeah.
For testing, yeah. Big time. Crying the night before, oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna do well. And I'm like, and if you don't, don't worry about it. Just do your best. But it's just so much pressure that they put on them. So yeah, I've seen other states or read other states and schools that they give an hour outside. They do a lot of activities outside for them because it's been known that it gets them to freely think and just de-stress feel better, do better. And I've always made it a point. I'm like, if you guys give them 20 minutes to eat and they're not able to finish, how do you expect them to function?
Yeah.
I can't function if I don't eat.
Yeah.
These are kids, And so that's always been my concern with at least the RGV. I mean, I'm sure it's everywhere in Texas.
Yeah.
It's a Texas thing. So that's been my concern with that.
I'm trying to think about when I was in school, because I'm originally born and raised in Florida.
Okay,
so I can't remember my elementary years, but I do remember playing outside a lot. I can't remember exactly, but I would always, every kid is gonna look forward to like PE time, right? I just can't remember the length of it, but I know in high school, or like from 6th to 12th grade, because our middle school and high school was like put together, which was like a weird setup.
Okay.
But our middle school and high school were in the same, under the same system, if that makes sense. And I remember our PE time was at least 50 minutes.
Yeah,
I think so.
For some reason, I feel like when I was younger in elementary that it was long. Like I felt like the way you say it, like you're always outside.
Yeah.
But the way it is now, they're really not. They're always inside. And then the whole COVID thing, really messed it all up for them about going outside, making sure that they're in their little desk with, I think I had like that little plastic cover thing over it. I don't think they have that anymore. But I think there's a lot of things that need to change with the school system.
I agree with that 100%. Now, honestly, I haven't put much thought into what needs to be fixed, but I know that if nothing's changed in however long school's been in, session, that something has got to change. If like the dynamic of the public or the way the new generation is, like there's a shift in mindset, there's a shift in attention span, there's a shift in so many things that something needs to be adjusted as well in the school system.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that when I was a teacher assistant at Ed Couch, which was in 2019, I think, because I was a high school soccer coach there.
Okay.
So I helped with the special ed class. And I think they were only outside for about 25 minutes. You were right about the lunchtime. It was about that 15, 20 minutes. And it just wasn't enough. And then the rest of it was, back in the class, lesson. And, that teacher was phenomenal. Miss Silva was phenomenal with the special ed kids. And she would give them a little bit of free time in class. But in regards to like physical activity, being outside, things that are good for you, it wasn't that much.
And one thing also too that bothers me is that this happens a lot. What they'll do is, if one kid is bad in the class,
punish everybody.
Yeah. So none of y'all can go outside today. And I'm like, that bothers me so much because there's kids that go to school every day and that do well, listen to the teacher, do all their, work and all that. And then their 20 minutes or their one time that they get to go outside, it's taken away just because the kid that's bad. So that they do that a lot. And I've also, now they don't allow parents to go to the lunch, at least where my daughter goes to school. But where they used to, I would go all the time. And I would notice that it was not a 30-minute lunch. It was actually a 15-minute lunch or 20-minute lunch because they start the time
when they walk in.
Yeah. And I'm like, but what about the last class? Yeah. So, and then it was like whoever goes first was the quietest class. Yeah. So it was just like, so I'm like, okay, so by the time, let's say my daughter was, the last class, by the time they sit down, they're like, all right, hurry up. And they're just like, and I was like, well, this is crazy. Like, do you not see it? And I one time said like, okay, so if the teacher can have an hour lunch, how would they feel if they had a 15, 20-minute lunch and then had to go straight back to class? Like, they'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. So why do we do that to our kids?
That's a good point.
And I think as you, like, now that you're going to become a father and you're like, once she gets to school, you'll start noticing things that you never noticed before because you weren't a parent, I mean, I didn't notice anything like things like this, because I never had a younger sibling or anything like that went to school.
And you're right. I as a teacher assistant, I was in the class as well. And I'm not really realizing all those things until you're, speaking about it now. So I can imagine when, my daughter's in school and, that's a good point. Well, I mean, I don't know if there's even a thing going on or any consideration by anyone, in the uppers that, has even mentioned about any adjustments in the schools and in the school systems. But I don't know if that's something that'll ever be.
I hope. I also think it has to do with our leaders.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I definitely don't want to get into politics now. But I do feel like it's got a lot on them too. Yeah. They could make some big changes. And it all starts I always tell people, vote locally because that's where it starts. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, my vote doesn't count. I'm like, yes, it does. Don't say that. Yeah. But yeah, I think it all starts literally locally, and then of course who represents our state. Gotcha. If we'll see any changes on that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's interesting. Okay, so what I was actually gonna say before we got into this segment was what I want to kind of try and do. This one's on the fly a little bit.
Okay.
Was kind of tailor episodes, some, maybe all, towards a PPF type of structure. And essentially what PPF stands for is like past, present, and future.
Okay.
Right? So I've always thought, okay, I'm 25 episodes in. How can I essentially structure a podcast or an episode where, you know, we can, I guess, get the most out of it and also have a regular conversation? So you told us a little bit about yourself, born and raised in Mcallen, you know, and then we kind of jumped to junior high. Mm-hmm. Tell us, is there any, so what I also like to do, focus on the podcast, is about mindset, personal development, things of that nature. Is there anything that at some point in your life you've essentially felt it was difficult, a struggle, and that maybe at some point you just felt was too overwhelming?
Yeah. When I was in high school, a lot of people don't know this, but I just got in the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
So my senior year is a huge blur. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't remember it, but I was into like really hardcore drugs in high school. That led me to keep doing drugs. I graduated, but I kept doing drugs when I got out and kept hanging out with
the same crowd.
And then that crowd just kept getting bigger with the people that they introduced me to, you know? So it wasn't until I got arrested at the age of, I think I was 20.
20?
I got arrested at 20. I got on probation, and they gave me like a 6 month, it was, I don't know what it's called. I think it's called like if you're, I forgot the term what they use for, but it's like 6 months. And if you do exactly what they say, come out clean, go to your probation, all that, or like meet up with your probation officer, do everything correct, pay off your fees, all that, it gets taken off your record.
Yeah.
I did not listen. And so I was just still like hooked on my stuff. I came out dirty all the time. So I went back to court, and the judge was just like, do you have a parent here right now? And I was like, well, my dad's here. And my dad was the one that was like constantly had my back with all this. And he's like, come up here. And so my dad goes up there, and he tells my dad, like, what are you doing with her? Like, send her off, get her out of here. She needs rehab. And my dad was just like, I'm not going to send her to rehab because she's going through a phase. This is not her. And he was like, well, then that's just on you. Like, if you want to put up with this shit, like, put up with it. But what I believe is that she needs to get out. Mm-hmm. So he's like, 3 years probation. So he gave me 3 years.
The judge.
Yeah. So I was on probation for 3 years. And then one day, my mom would wait for, back in the day, like, we hardly had cell phones.
Yeah, of course.
So I think I did have one, but they probably took it away from me at the time. I don't even remember. I came into the house like at 5 a.m. and I just like told my mom, like, I need help. And she was like, okay, like, let's get you help. And I went to like, let's say like 5 different counselors. And in those 5 counselors, the last one was the one that like just opened my eyes. And it wasn't anything, he didn't do anything specific. I felt like he was an older man. He took his time to hear me out. Mm-hmm. And all these other counselors were very like, okay, well, your time is up and we're going to prescribe you, like Xanax because you're like depressed or whatever. And I'm just like, no, I don't want that. So and I was still doing drugs at that time. Yeah. I was going to counseling, but I was still partying and stuff like that. And the last counselor, just so happens, my mom's like, oh my God, I went to high school with him. She was like so embarrassed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, who cares? But he was an older man, and he was just like, I've gone through it, and he had like really crazy experiences that I was able to relate to.
Oh, similar experiences?
Yeah. Okay. And he was just like, I should be dead. You should be dead, but we're not. Right. And I'm just like, yeah, like it was a lot. And so one day he told me, you're going to leave this meeting, this counseling meeting. And what are you going to do? Like, they're going to call you. That's like all on you. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to answer. Like, I'm not going to answer. And like, so I just like stuck to my plan. And like, I just eliminated those people from my life. And
that's what you meant by they're going to call you?
Yeah.
Those people?
Those people.
Okay.
Yeah. Like they were. I mean, they were like, what are you doing? Let's hang out. Why are you not talking to us?
Ghosting us.
Why are you ghosting us? Yeah. It was hard. And then like I had already lost like a lot of family members because like my sisters were just like, don't talk to us. Yeah. Like, everybody was just like disappointed. At one point in my life, I was already content with either dying or just going to jail for the rest of my life.
Really?
Yeah. Like I already had it in my head.
Those two options with you were okay.
I was okay with it.
Wow.
That's how deep I was in that sense. So when he told me, you know, what are you going to do and all that, I don't know what woke me up. I honestly don't know, but I'm so grateful for him. And that's where I put on all my weight.
Okay.
After like I stayed away from all the drugs, I went to eating and I did drink. I would like go to bars and, you know, drink beer. I was just drinking beer all the time and still hanging out with friends that didn't do drugs, but they would just hang out, like go have wings and, you know, just like my normal friends. I wasn't hanging out with the bad group.
Right.
So I just gained a bunch of weight. And then I still was just like depressed about that. And that's when I woke up one day and I was just like, I'm going to change my lifestyle.
So when you say that you just woke up, the last counselor helped you.
Yeah.
What would you describe? What do you describe when you say I just woke up? Like, what was the realization? Or I know you said that he didn't do anything specific, right? But when you say I just woke up, what do you mean?
I don't know if like my soul was just tired. Yeah. I don't know. I can honestly say, because I've had friends that have dealt with a little bit of drug problems where they kind of get straight away from like doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I sit down with them and I'm just like, you are not even close to where I was. Like, you have friends, you have your husband or your boyfriend or whatever, girlfriend. You have so much support. And at one point in my life, I felt like nobody. And I was literally kicked out of my house. Or I just didn't want to go back because my parents are strict Catholics. Mm-hmm. So for them, it was just like heartbreaking to see what I was going through. Yeah. And especially because they were like, this is not how we brought you up. And then my sisters were just like, I had actually, at one point I had no home. So I was like living at people's houses that were drug houses just to like sleep on the couch and stuff like that.
Kind of just staying over.
Yeah.
Just to have a roof over your head.
And yeah. And so that saying when I woke up, are you meaning like to tell my mom I had a problem? Or you're saying like to like get on with a different lifestyle?
Yeah. Like essentially, where was that, you know, like, what do you mean by I woke up, like that 180 feeling of like, okay, I'm done. Like,
I was so done with my weight too. I was so sluggish. And that's why when people say, how long did it take you to get fit? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be really honest. It's been like 12 years of working out. Yeah. And I could be like way better shape. I've done just so many changes. Like I've gone into all these different changes in my lifestyle and with my fitness. But one thing that I have been real structured with is staying consistent with my diet, staying consistent with the right path, and not getting just too, because you can always get swayed away, you know? Those drugs are always going to be in front of me. I can't get away from them. I can't hide from them. There's people that still do them that I know. Yeah. If I go to a get together, it might be there, but I have to remember like how I felt in that situation, and I'm better than that. Yeah. You know? And so that whole lifestyle, when I tell people, oh yeah, like it took me this long, they're like, well, okay, that's a long time. And it discourages you, right? But I'm like, there's no quick fix, right? you can't do something for 3 months and expect that to last you the rest of your life. 6 months. No, you have to change the way you just, the way you think, the way you eat, everything has to change. And it's very hard. Diet is hard.
Yes.
That's the hardest. I feel like working out's not. So that was my main thing too. I tell people, like, I started just so slow. Like, if I wanted the burger, I'd have the burger, just no mayo. And like just those small changes. And they just gradually kept changing. You know, I just get better and better and better. Yeah.
So looking back, right, to that initial lifestyle that you had, besides the obvious, right? Because and my next question is going to be about red flags, right? But in regards to groups of people or your circle, besides the obvious of, you know, the drugs maybe, what do you think you would tell, you know, like your younger self at that time to look out for and to be careful for, how to distinguish between someone who would provide value to your life or someone who would essentially hinder you?
I always like try to like think now, like what is taking my energy and how is it being reciprocated? So I even live by that right now. Like, I feel like my circle has just gotten smaller and smaller and smaller as I get older. Yeah. And I'm fine with that. But there was nothing, like, I got brought up right. I had all my friends were in sports. We were like the popular crowd. But it was just going to a party on the weekend and then trying it, and then not just trying it, but everybody was doing it. I feel like it's a lot different now. Like, I feel like it's still out there. It has to be. I mean, but like, I look at my niece and my nephews like, my niece just graduated, and she's just such on a right path. Like, so I look at my daughter and I'm just like, look at her, like, follow everything she does, because that is what you need to do. And I told my niece, I was like, you showed my daughter a path that I couldn't. And I did go to college, and my daughter was there when I graduated, but she was 2. She didn't really get to see all the struggles and stuff. And she doesn't know my past. And so with that, I just feel like always just making sure that you're also in tune with your child, you know, parenting too. My mom, at that time, my grandmother was sick with cancer. So on like my junior, senior year, she was not, I'm gonna say wasn't present, but she was with my grandmother a lot. Yeah. So that kind of, then I used, of course, that excuse where, well, my grandmother's dying. And it was just always just things that I used. And of course the drugs were just enhancing it, you know, kind of numbing that pain. But I felt like, I don't know how it escalated so quickly. Yeah. Like, how did I get there? It's just been so long ago that I can't like specifically pinpoint what got me to do it.
Yeah. What would you essentially say to someone who might be in the same situation, let's say specifically with that same problem? Like, what are some realistic steps, if there are any? If not, no problem. Because
admitting, for one, to yourself. Now, it doesn't have to be to somebody else. But there's a lot of people that are like, no, I don't have a problem. Or admitting to yourself, and then like, I guess just sitting back and really looking at like at where you could be and where you are. I don't know. It's just so hard because it's like, it's just so long ago for me. Yeah. I am not going to lie. Go back to the question again. Yes. Exact question.
Yeah. So my question kind of essentially, because I am interested, it's like people in the situations, because I mean, I know people in my life with similar, situations, problems. And in my head, for the people looking in, it's so easy to be like, just stop doing that. It's like, but that's not realistic. Like, there are certain, mental challenges that are going on. There's certain things, there's habits already created. There's, it's just so difficult. And then it's never that easy. Just stop doing it. That's not real.
Okay, for sure, it's day by day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, I just one day was like done. I mean, of course, I'm not gonna say I don't even, because I can't remember, but I'm like, there's absolutely no way I just went like one day to the next. But what I did was eliminate a lot of people, and those people still to this day are still doing the same shit, you know. And I think I realized there was one time I was at Walmart, and my heart was just racing because I was like, it was like two of the people that I used to hang out with were in the same aisle as me, and I had not talked to them like in years, and they looked at me and they didn't even recognize me, and that to me was just like, wow, like that hit me, because I was like, I am not the same person. Yeah, that was like a really crazy time in my life. I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, I can't believe I'm alive. Wow. Like really, really crazy. And also too, what helped me that I just always turn to is fitness. Yeah. That really is my escape. Like it changed my lifestyle. I mean, not just my lifestyle. I'm sorry. It changed my life. Yeah. Like fully. You know, I have family members that my brother-in-law the other day was like, he was just in conversation. He's like, oh yeah, Melinda's like OCD. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Cause I don't feel like I'm OCD. And he's like, oh, calm down. I'm talking about like your OCD in a sense, like when you get something going, like your fitness, and you see yourself doing well with it, like you don't stop. You haven't stopped. He's like, you never stop. I'm like, because everyone usually stops. Like, you know, like my family, they're like, I'm going to start working out. And then like 3 months later, they're like, oh, no, we're not working out, you know? So he's like, it's been 12 years, 13 years, and you just don't stop. And I'm like, yeah. So I see that with myself too. Yeah. It did make me a lot, I wouldn't say, I'm like a lot stronger in a sense, like mindset. Like I'm just like, no is no. And that's it. Like, and I think it's because of what I went through. Yeah. You know, like those hard times, and then kind of feeling like I had nobody at one sense. So I literally had to just depend on myself. Like I didn't have somebody every day being like, you got this, you know? But like, it's crazy. It really is to look back sometimes. And I really do. Sometimes just randomly I'll look back and I'm like, I can't believe it. Like I'm a mom. Yeah. I'm a homeowner. I run a business. Like, it's just crazy. So anybody can change, but it's like all within yourself, you know? It really, really is.
I believe when people say like in a relationship or just, you know, in your immediate circle, you really can't make someone change. Like, I feel like one person,
they have to want it. Yeah,
it has to come with them first. Now, can you help someone change?
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
But until that person either is ready or wakes up to whatever, you know, situation or problem that they're in, man, the chances of any change happening is slim to literally none. And it's difficult for people like that love you or that support you to see, you know, you go through certain situations like that. It's because they literally want to help. They want to just flip the switch for you. Yeah. But that's not realistic. And that's not how it goes. And it hurts a lot of people.
I hurt a lot of people along that way. And a lot of them I didn't know I hurt until later they told me. And I was like, I am so sorry. You know, and that was a lot too with my parents. Like my dad was a really strong man to the point where like I never saw him cry or things like that, you know. And my sister told me not too long ago, like about a couple months ago, she was like, yeah, Dad was like crying to me one day, like overwhelmed. And I was like, what? And it breaks my heart because I put a lot of people through so much during that time. Yeah.
And the reality is that sometimes you really don't know the people who you hurt because they don't want to. Some people don't want you to see that you hurt them because they don't want to make you feel worse. Yeah. And I believe that a lot of people, you know, when they're in pain, when other people hurt them, they do hide it because, like, you know, like I just said, like they don't want to make the situation worse, and they want to give the person who's struggling the best chance they got at feeling better. Yeah. Not worse.
And, you know, my brother-in-law, he's been in our family since I was like, I would say like 6. So he told me like about a year ago or 2 years ago, he was like, I don't know if anybody has told you, but I'm going to just tell you, like, I'm so fucking proud of you for getting to this point in your life because I thought you were going to die. And that like, and it made me cry because I was just like, I couldn't believe that, like, none of my family has really told me anything. They're just like, we're proud of you. Like, you know, that's good that, you know, you got over that hump. But he was just like, I just look at you sometimes and I'm just like, I can't believe that's the same person. Wow. And I'm like, thank God, like, that I got out of it, you know, because I can't, that's just a depressing life, you know? I wouldn't have my daughter. I wouldn't, you know, just a lot of things.
Yeah. I think that, first of all, that's phenomenal. Honestly, like and I'm trying to imagine it just because the way you speak about how bad it was and like how terrible it was. And, you know, when you describe it that way, me as the receiver of what you're saying, thinks of the worst, you know, the worst possible, you know, drug situation, you know, losing support of family because of of all the pain and chaos. And to kind of just see you, you know, even before you've come in for the episode, just to see you at the gym, you're lively. I mean, people talk really well about you. No, really. And, you know, you're positive on social media. Yeah. You know, and just hearing this conversation with you, it's like, it's literally like whenever you describe your past, I am thinking of a different person. Yeah. And the person that I'm interacting with now.
It is. It's crazy. I know. I know. And a lot of people don't know that. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. So.
But that's awesome. So let me ask you this. Is that something that, I feel like when people are asked this question, the answer is always, no, I wouldn't. But I feel like sometimes the answer would be, yes, I would. Is that something that you would change if you could go back?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I mean, maybe some of the crazy things that I like really could have died or something. Yeah. But like that whole part of that's why when people, I'm open about it. I have some friends that are like, don't bring me up when it comes to that, because like we're not even as deep into drugs that I was, but we're still partying and stuff like with me. Like, and like, they're like, just don't bring me up because it's embarrassing to me. Yeah. For me, I'm just like, that's who this is why I am like how I am now, or this is who I am because of that person.
Yeah. And that was real.
That's real. 100% real. Yeah.
I think that's incredible. The fact that you're able to be okay with and be comfortable and being talked about in those type of conversations, you know, with how everything is now. People sometimes are, you know, they hesitate to look a certain way. Exactly. Especially for the thing that things that they've done in the past. So I think that's incredible that they're able to have that. That's a mental strength. That's a mental ability to be able to be known for those things and just be completely okay with it, because that was reality at one point.
And some people know me about that, because they're like, oh, we used to like do stuff, party with her, you know. But they're like, that's not how she is anymore. Yeah. So I'm just
Which I think is the coolest part.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It, honestly, at least for me too. And that's why I feel like I'm not embarrassed to talk about it. And then sometimes people are like, man, you went through that? Well, then that gives me motivation, you know? And I'm like, cool, hell yeah. But yeah, no, that's, I'm not embarrassed about it. Cool. I'm not embarrassed about it.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Okay, so if you didn't notice in the conversation, we essentially talked about before we got into that, we talked about your present, which is essentially kind of what you do now, and just some experiences with your daughter. What about like moving forward? Obviously you're a gym addict, right? You work out all the time, phenomenal lifestyle. What about moving forward? Like, how does that look for you? Is there anything that you're hoping to do?
There are things that I'm hoping to do, but I don't know if I want to talk about them yet, because I believe a lot in things have fallen through for me, and I, like, for instance, I was gonna start a business, and then I had to put it on hold. My parents got sick, and so I'm kind of starting to bring it up again. They passed away a couple of years ago. Oh well, just 2020 and 2021. So I'm kind of starting to move forward, trying to open up my mind a little bit about what I was going to do, the LLC and stuff. But I don't really want to talk about it yet, because I've learned that sometimes when you throw what you like, that's my idea or not just idea, sometimes it doesn't work through. Sometimes the universe is just like, hush until you get there.
I agree.
And that's been something that I've had to learn, because I used to talk about a lot of things, And then all of a sudden it just wouldn't work. And I'm just like, okay, I need to do something
different at least.
And I promise I'm going to talk about it, but when I get there.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I actually used to have the same, I call it a problem because it didn't bring any solutions. Mm-hmm. So I used to get so excited about any ideas or ventures that I would want to go on, and I would be outspoken in public about it.
Yeah.
And I've had my fair share of mishaps and fall throughs, right? So it's like, okay, you know what? Next time I'm gonna just know what I want to do. I'm gonna do it in silence.
I know, and I keep telling myself, like, just daily remind yourself like what you're capable of, where you want to get, because I mean, being self-employed has its perks, but then it's also extremely stressful. Mm-hmm. But I love working for myself, and I feel like I have the ability to do a lot. Yeah. Like I'm capable of a lot. I like right now, the photos that I take for these dealerships. Do I want to do that my rest of my life? Absolutely not. So I want to figure out another venture. Yeah. But that's definitely somewhere in the future, hopefully near future.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think if anyone has I like to call it bravery, because it does take a lot to want to kind of venture out on your own, be self-employed, and just kind of put all the weight on your own shoulders. Mm-hmm. It is very different than having a quote unquote secure check every week. Mm-hmm. You're going to get it regardless. There's less pressure. So I always say props to those who take that step into the entrepreneurship and are willing to kind of just go through those battles and create their own path, regardless of the pressure or the negatives or the mishaps and fall throughs. I do believe those situations are the ones that build people the fastest. All the errors that you go through, all the things you learn when you go and you throw yourself into the wolves. Mm-hmm. I think the person that comes out of that storm is a priceless one. Is one that you don't really get to experience in a regular job because of the less pressure that a regular job has.
And it comes, like I said, it comes with its perks, but then it also comes where like work is slow. Yeah. And you get stressed out, and you sometimes wonder, like, should I have picked an 8 to 5? But then there's times where I'm just like, no, because I got offered to work in an office for Audi when I was working at that dealership, and they were like, you're going to get better. I mean, you're going to get more consistent pay. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to get benefits. I was so fucking miserable sitting at that desk on the computer. I'm like, how does everybody come here every fucking day? Like, this is so depressing. Like, I have to be moving. Yeah. So maybe I am OCD. I don't know. But like, I would get my work done real quick. And I'm like, so what do y'all do now? Yeah. And they're like, nothing. Just like, you can use your computer. I'm like, this is so fucking boring. Like, I just can't. It was like 2-3 months, and I was like, I can't do it, guys. Yeah. Went back to self-employment.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I would hear about people talk about like jobs where they didn't have to do anything. Like one of the common phrases was, oh, in this job I get paid to do nothing. And then in my head I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. You get paid to do nothing, right? Until I experienced I can't remember what it was exactly, like a job where I didn't do much and I was getting paid. I'm like, I don't want to be here. Like, I'm not even, I'm sure there's a certain amount of money in the world that would allow me to not do anything and get paid, but for what, you know what I mean? But for what you're paying me right now, I'd rather go and do something else.
And then there's times where I feel burnt out, where I'm like, why are you overloading yourself? And then you're tired as shit, and then you're going to the gym. Like, you don't even need to go to the gym. But then I'm like, it's just, I've just learned to handle so much that I'm used to like doing a lot in a day. Yeah. Especially like with a kid, it's just gotten me going. Yeah. And I'm always said, thank you, God, for my child, because it gave me structure. There you go. It gave me a path. I was already getting better, with my lifestyle, but she made it even better, and parenting was just, to top it off. Yeah. It was like the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay. So, anything else? What about anything else with you? that you'd like to share. I mean, we're very close to wrapping it up. I do like to ask essentially towards the end, like if there's anything else that you got going on that you'd like to share with anybody. Obviously sometimes when the guests come on, they share, anything that they might be doing like business wise or whatever. But is there anything that you have? No,
not really.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, Mel, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Awesome.
I honestly, I thank you so much, guys. If you didn't know, me and Mel have been maybe a week and a half in to try and
I'm trying. The schedule's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, thank you so much for coming in. Honestly, I'm so grateful to all my guests that sit across this table from me, and that let me in a little bit, on their stories and allow me to just get to know them a little bit better.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I hope I wasn't boring.
No, not at all. So far, I've been ridiculously lucky. I don't think any of my guests have been boring. I sometimes think like, you know what? One thing that I do kind of go through mentally, I'm like, I wonder if I'm just too interested in like people, like.
That's a cool thing.
No. I like it, but then I'm like, I wonder if I'm like really interested in people, and if I'm sure there's other people like me, right? But I'm like, when the audience listen to the episodes, I wonder if they see how interested I am.
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely tell you're interested. It's really cool though.
Yeah.
One thing though, my daughter was like, "What? You're gonna go do a podcast?" Because I'm assuming she's probably thinking like Apple Podcaster.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like a local one. Calm down. It's local. She's like, but that's super cool. Yeah. Can you make sure that you tell everybody I said hi on their podcast? So Adela would like to say hi to everybody.
That's so awesome.
I was like, oh my God. So right now she's like, good luck. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Like I literally feel like I have like a 16-year-old, but I have a 10-year-old.
Yeah. How old is she? I mean, what's her name?
Adela.
Hi, Adela. Thank you so much for saying hi to us. Your mom was great on the podcast. I think that, man, just the way you talk about it makes me so excited. Honestly, that's all.
Hopefully I can be back with like when I come up with my future stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I'll
definitely be promoting that on here.
Yeah. I definitely welcome everybody here. I love to, share this platform for anybody who wants to share anything with an audience. So, Mel, if there's nothing else, I think that's where we'll wrap it up. Guys,
awesome.
This is episode 25. Thank you so much for listening thus far. To everybody who takes the chance to listen, I appreciate that. And please don't forget to share and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. I am literally at 99 YouTube subscribers. It's not a lot, but I started with 0 at one point.
Oh, awesome.
And it's kind of like bothering me
Everyone
a bit.
starts somewhere.
Yeah. It's bothering me a bit, though, that I'm only one away from 100. So if you've listened to this episode towards the end, right, and you haven't subscribed, and I'm still at 99, please subscribe so you can make it 100. But all right, guys, thank you so much. Until next time, see you guys.
Thank you. Yep.